Something was happening in the presence chamber at Bridewell. Mary could see the crowds of courtiers from her window, queuing to get in. Dr. Featherstone looked up from his marking.
"What is it, my lady princess?"
"I don't know." Mary stood up and leaned out of the open casement. The June air was warm on her face.
"I think there is some important ceremony taking place. Could we go and see it, please?"
Dr. Featherstone hummed and hawed.
"Please, sir. I have finished my book."
"Oh, very well."
The tutor rose.
"I will escort your highness."
The press of people in the presence chamber was very great, but the ranks of courtiers parted to let Mary through, making reverence as she passed. The air smelled of sweat and unwashed linen. Not everyone was as fastidious as her father wished them to be. Dr. Featherstone spoke to someone, then turned to Mary.
"An investiture is about to take place. The king is creating new nobles."
She stood with him by the great doors as the trumpets sounded and the king and queen entered from behind the dais. Father was wearing his purple and ermine robes of estate, and looked very hot in them on this simmering day. He smiled as he seated himself beneath the canopy of estate. As Garter, King of Arms, the royal herald, stepped forward, a scroll in his hands, a procession entered the chamber, passing closely by Mary. Mary recognized her cousin, Lord Roos, who looked so much like father, and Sir Thomas Boleyn, an important courtier who was brother to her old governess, Lady Calthorpe. Behind them walked a small boy of about 6, a golden-haired child who carried himself with a regal bearing. Mary had never seen him before, but her gaze took in the fact that he was richly apparelled like a prince. She heard indrawn breaths around her, and sensed Dr. Featherstone stiffening. The lords stepped forward in turn and knelt before the king, as their patents of nobility were read aloud. Then the boy came forward and dropped to his knees. Mary saw her father pat his head and place a long mantle of crimson velvet about his slight shoulders. The herald announced that Henry Fitzroy was created Duke of Richmond and Somerset. Who was this Henry Fitzroy? Why was father giving him 2 royal dukedoms? And why were people murmuring and exchanging glances and staring at Mary and the king and queen?